Hello everyone, welcome to the night show and welcome to ECClesiaUSA. I'm glad you're here tonight. A few topics to talk about. What's going on in the world today. We've got the pedophile ring coming up from the southern border. This administration doesn't really care. So Kanye's in the news talking about Jews and Judaism and them ruling the world. Well, this is one of the things I've been talking about for at least 2018, June the 18th, I think it was. I was watching Trey Gowdy interview, or is it interview or whatever, when FBI Peter Strzok, I think that's how you pronounce his name. He was on the witness as they were interviewing him or witnessing him or whatever you call that, asking questions. And Trey Gowdy was asking him about his text and about Hillary Clinton winning 1,000,000-0. And he said, "How's that possible?" He said, "How is that possible? How could anyone win 1,000,000-0? And by the way, you were still investigating her for crimes, right? So you didn't know at this point that she hadn't committed any crimes." And a side note, if we'd had a real FBI agent instead of Comey, she'd have went to jail. All those people are in association with one another. And a little side note for you, Comey became the head FBI agent 10 days before 9/11. So, when Trey Gowdy was interviewing Strzok, and it was like 20-30 minutes, I don't know what it was, but I was watching that for about 20-30 minutes. And as soon as Trey Gowdy said 1,000,000-0, Agent Strzok, 1,000,000-0, the Spirit of the Lord said, communicated, that's how it happened to Jesus. Or him. That's how it happened to him. And I'm like, wow. What? And went through and described to me how Yeshua, Jesus Christ, Yeshua, our Messiah, our Lord and Savior, was arrested illegally. He was sent to a court, the Sanhedrin. I have videos and videos of how I described that morning. But what I'm saying is that was an illegal arrest. They had illegal witnesses who lied. All this was a setup. But the real setup hadn't happened yet. The real setup hadn't happened yet. So when Yeshua told Peter, "You'll deny me 3 times before the rooster crows," that's to let you know that this was going on in the wee hours of the morning. They never did court this way. You really have to understand Hebrew calendars to know how this is all playing out. So when he was arrested in the middle of the night, somewhere between 6 p.m. and probably midnight, if you will, because by 4 a.m., which is their next day, it's our morning, it's going into their day, the middle of their day, 6 to 6, but anyway. So he's being arrested in the middle of the night. They come and get him with there's a whole story in there. They come arrest him. They find out who he is. They didn't know who he was. Why? Because he looked like another Jew's. He was not this bearded. He had a beard, but it was this long hippie beard and long hair. You know the Old Testament, he was a Nazarene, not a Nazarite. And I'll tell you again, we got them mixed up. But anyway, there's all this stuff connects together. So anyway, he was arrested in the middle of the night. He went to Sanhedrin. They convicted him. They sent him to Herod. All this stuff's going on. And then Pontius Pilate had an opportunity to let him off. And this is where it goes in to Agent Strzok. If you read the New Testament Gospels, all 4 of them, from the time he started his ministry until he was crucified, murdered. They say crucified. He was murdered. So when Pontius Pilate came out, and you have to imagine this, because it was the day before the Passover, they couldn't go in to the Sanhedrin, they couldn't go into the courts. Pontius had to come out to them. He had to come out to where they were. Right? There wasn't all the Jews there saying, crucify him, crucify him. The northern Jews loved him. The northern Israelites loved him. Most of the southerns did. It was only the southern Judean Jews, Caiphas and his group, his other priests, the temple guards. The temple had their own guards. Romans couldn't go in there. They did So when Pontius went out there, he tried to let Yeshua off 3 times. He said, is there anyone here that doesn't hold this man accountable? Anyone? Not one vote, Agent Strzok, was what came to me from the Spirit of the Lord. And he explained it like that. It was a setup. It was only this small pocket of group, because he had to come out to them. So again, this is in the wee hours in the morning. We have to understand who Barabbas was. Abbas. Bar in Hebrew means son of. Son of Abbas. The guy that's sitting up there, we all think his name was Barabbas. He's the son of Abbas. Like Bartholomew. He's the son of Bartholomew. His name's not Bartholomew. It's Bar, son of Tholomew. That's Barabbas up there, and that's Yeshua, the Messiah. That wasn't what they called him yet. His name was Yeshua. And if you could say he was this, if he's calling himself, he's saying he is Yeshua, Bar, Abba, Father. He would be Bar Yahweh, son of Yahweh. When they were translating the Bible, somewhere between Hebrew and Greek, either to Latin or from Hebrew and Greek to English, these men decided that that man didn't deserve to have the same name as our Lord and Savior Yeshua because of who he was. But that's the whole point of the story. There's 2 men standing up there named Yeshua. It was a common name, Joshua. It's a Hebrew name. It's almost the same thing. They all are translated the same. So, it was a setup. Pontius came out 3 times. He came out, is there anyone who does not hold anything against this man, because I do not see it? He's like, what's going on? That zealot, he wasn't a thief, he was a murderer. And his 2 buddies weren't thieves, they were murderers. You can read about them in Josephus' book. They'd come out of the hills and kill priests. They didn't think they were priestly enough. They didn't think they were sticking to the law enough. They thought they should kill more people, stone more people, have more laws, stronger rules. At the same time, this Jesus, Yeshua, Barabbas, was killing Roman officials, Roman emperors, Roman centurions that come out of the woods. They took these daggers and they'd have them in their coats and their pockets, and they'd be in a crowd. Kill them. Mob. So they knew who he was. They'd been looking for him. He knew what group this guy was. They still let him go. Because you got to know the history. Pontius had already had problems with them. He had stole money from the Caiphas and his group. And when I say stole it, he just went and got it. Whatever you've got, you're going to give to me. And they went and built a water aqueduct for the Romans with Jewish money. Also, so Caesar is in charge. He doesn't want he's a governor, if you will. Pontius is governor of this spot. They can't have any more riots. And if you'll read again in there, this is my point. Get back to that part. From the Gospels, 4 Gospels, from the time he was arrested until that point, he fed 5,000. He fed 4,000. Read the masses of the description of the crowds. There were so many crowds. He had to get in a boat, remember? And they had to push him out so he could preach to them. He had to get away from them. There were so many of them. Thousands of followers. Maybe hundreds of thousands of followers. Once he couldn't get off, when the story goes that once it just goes on forever. So that's how that happened. When the Spirit of the Lord is explaining and guiding me down this road, explaining what's going on, he said it's going to happen again. There's another setup coming. One of these rallies, this is in July the 18th of 2018, when this is going on. I was told then that there will be a rally that would be used that would take away rights, freedoms, and put the scapegoat on anyone who voted as a Republican. Because if the media can put that scapegoat on the Jews, because that's what happened. That's the story I'm telling you. It's time to let the Jewish people off the scapegoat. It was Caiphas. It was his priests. It was his temple guards. They set it up. We all know that, right? Everyone's like, oh, it was a setup. And it was not millions of Jews yelling, crucify them. It may have been 50, 100, because it was just... And you have to understand something. So there's a crew, even back then, there's a liberal side of Judaism and there's an extreme right of Judaism. So you have both sides. Caiphas' group and those people who were there for the Passover, it said there that they were afraid of riots. Because here's again, you got to know the history. If there was any more riots,
Tiberius
would have just sent his army down there and wiped them all out and said, I'm tired of dealing with you. Also, if Yeshua kept healing people and he guided these people, and he guided them and said, you're going to treat people good, you're going to love one another, and they started doing it. It connects back with
China
and Falun Gong. I'm telling you, it all sews together. These people, they are the same evil empire that's been going on with Satan since the beginning of time. Fact. How do I know why? Because I was told, and that's why I'm standing here. And I mean told. Not one vote. Agent Strzok, Pontius is up there. Not one vote. This man's healed millions. He's healed hundreds. He's fed thousands. Not one. It was in the freaking morning. He didn't get up on the cross till noon. They weren't out yet. They were still outside of Jerusalem, but the place was packed. to see what miracles Jesus was going to do. That January 6th was a setup. And I can tell you this. I knew it 3 years prior, and I told anyone who would listen to me. I'll be honest with you. Now, because everyone I was telling, I was hoping it would start a swell, but it didn't. It didn't. No one even remembered. I do have 2 eyewitnesses, and that's what you need for any case, is 2 eyewitnesses. 2 weeks prior to January 6th in December of, 2 weeks prior in December, there was another one of those rallies. And I'm not so sure that other times the rallies hasn't been set up. But again, you get to the last one. You get to the last one, and that's the one it's got to be. And they did it. I was watching videos tonight of that Adam Schiff. He was on, if it was today or yesterday, the videos, I don't know, but they were talking about January the 6th and what the FBI knew. On January 3rd, they had emails from FBI agents saying, hey, these people are coming and they've got guns and they're storing guns over there. Oh, the FBI knew that this plan was intact? The FBI knew? They had emails on the 3rd, on the 4th, on the 5th, on the 6th that morning, even that morning. They were like, hey, we're seeing people with guns everywhere. And I loved it. I'm going to be honest with you. I loved it because it goes with the other video that I said. Why did the police, the DC police, Capitol Police, why did the Capitol Police not pull their guns? It was a riot, right? They were busting in. Let me ask you a question. Mr. Schiff, if I was there, if the FBI knew, then you've got emails, I see it, you've got emails that the FBI knew. I got a question for you. Why did Nancy Pelosi, who it's her job to protect that since she is the leader at that time, why didn't she call in the National Guard? I'm waiting. Why didn't she call in the National Guard? On the 3rd, 4th, and 5th, you had emails of imminent danger to people in that building, in the Capitol building. I have other videos up there just a couple weeks ago, and it's what I'm talking about. You had one job. She had one job. If she knew, and Adam Schiff knew, and the FBI knew that Donald Trump, as they say, set this up, why didn't you do your job and call in the National Guard and put people on the steps? Because when it was during the summer riots, the National Guard was called, and they were all over that Capitol building. Now, Mr. Schiff, Mrs. Pelosi, you can't have it both ways. You can't say, hey, we knew it was coming. We told you. Then why didn't you prepare for it? Why did you leave the police there, the DC police and the Capitol Police, leave them to take care of something that you claim now was a major attack? Did they attack and go in? Absolutely. So why was the National Guard not called? If we had FBI letters, emails, phone calls, Schiff even said, Mr. Schiff even said that they had FBI saying that they were stashing guns and weapons out in Virginia and close by in case there was a massive, they could go get it and come back. And your preparation was to do what, Mr. Schiff and Ms. Pelosi? That's right. You did nothing. Because you wanted it to happen. You wanted them in there. Caiphas wanted them in there. The ones that would yell, murder him, murder him, murder him. They knew what they were doing. Now whether these groups, different groups and whatever, now here's what I do know for a fact. I do know it for a fact. There were FBI, CIA agents in that crowd. Whether they're instigating, whether they were doing whatever, they were there. Don't kid yourself. I know it for a fact. If you know something 3 years in advance, you start preparing for it. I was going to say I had one regret, and I have one regret, and I do. But to be honest with you, I never knew there was a January 6th, any of those rallies. I would want to have went there and just with a bullhorn or something and stood up on the top and go, it's a setup. Don't go in. They want you to. Because what I'm going to tell you, the reason I can tell you this, 2 weeks prior to that, we were here working on this building here. I'll let him, but there was this guy has been with me my entire life. I don't remember a day of my life that he wasn't in it. Well, he was here helping me put the heating and air system in. And I'll let him be his own witness. I'm not going to bring names or tell him how we know one another. He'll do that. His friend, his co-worker, calls him while he's here. And I think that 2 weeks prior was like December the 14th, 16th, 18th. Somebody will know. Whatever 2 weeks prior to that, right before Christmas, he had one. And he called. He had just got there and started walking around. Put him on speakerphone. Put it on speaker. He answered. He said, hey, friend. We'll let him, if he wants to use his name or come out. Hey, friend. What are you doing? And he already told me that he was going up there. When he got there that morning, he goes, hey, you won't believe it. My friend, co-worker, he's going up there today. And I was like, there's a rally today? And he goes, yeah. And I was like, he'd already lost. I was like, this is it. He just lost the election. They're doing the recounts and all that stuff. And I was like, this is it. This is the one. So I grabbed the phone. And I said, listen, friend, don't you dare go in any buildings. Don't you dare get in any scuffles. I'm holding the phone like this talking to him. I said, don't you get in any scuffles. Don't fight nobody. You see fights, you hear breaking glass, you hear whatever, you run. You get out of there. And he goes, no, man, no, this is wonderful. It's peaceful. Man, we're all up here loving and hugging and, and high-fiving and, you wouldn't believe the feeling. I said, I understand. I get it. I said, but it's going to change. It's going to change. It's getting ready to get ugly. I said, you promise me? He goes, yeah, man, I promise. So I was on the phone with about 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes. And then January the 6th happened and I don't get a phone call from anyone. And I'm like, wow, I know I talked to at least 400 people, 300 people during that time. And I would have thought, that and enough. I've been telling you since 2008, one of the Trump's rallies was going to be the rallying cry for the Democrat side to take our guns away. Because what they really want to do, and I want you to hear when I tell you this, what they really want to do is make you a criminal. How are they going to make you a criminal? Ban guns. Ban an AR-15. Ban rifles. What are you saying? I'm not getting rid of mine. Now you're illegal. Guess what they can do? Waco you. They show up around your house, 10 or 12 SWAT teams. They're coming to get them. We're on the surface. We're just scratching. I mean, I have 3.5 or 2.5 years of video of me explaining what's happening. Now you're asking, where are these videos out? I can't even explain to you. I mean, I can't even explain to you how much stuff quits. I spent last night 2.5 hours. All the cameras quit working. The audio quit working. I just now got the audio start working. Spiritual stuff. I'm connected now to the internet. Is something being turned off, fried? I don't know. Because I'm on this microphone. I'm recording it. They're listening. This phone's sitting right here. They're listening to everything I say, especially the Chinese. They're listening right here. Hello, CCP. I got a story about them too. Falun Gong practitioners over in China. I've been sharing that video, been sharing that story because I knew that's what was coming for us, genocide. Because once they put the scapegoat on you, because you're the scapegoat, what happened when Yeshua was arrested, murdered? What happened? Over a period of time, who got blamed for killing Jesus? Over a period of time, who got blamed for killing Yeshua? The Jews. Well, you can let the Jews off the scapegoat. You can take that yoke off of them as the scapegoat, because it wasn't. It's the same thing that's going on now in America. Now, everybody's going to be like, oh, you think Donald Trump is that? No. Donald Trump, President Donald Trump, is just the guy. There's been other people throughout time who's been calling out these people. How many people? There's at least 30 to 50 writers of the Bible who was translating that ended up being burned at the stake for wanting to translate that Bible first from Latin to English. They didn't want that either, because if it was Latin, that means the English monks learned Latin and was telling the English people what was in it. Oh, that sounds safe. Could you imagine the Democrat Party and these politicians explaining anything to you? They're going to explain it to you from their point of view, how it's going to make them look good. See, that's the problem that happened in the mid-centuries, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15, when educated men, and that's what Yahweh wants. He wants educated men, not blind men, not deaf men. He wants men who will read. And so you have Martin Luther and you have these guys reading this now after they're smart, they've translated, like, hey, this book, these Bible books, they're talking about you. They're talking about you. You've been complaining about me, saying this is about me and my sins and whatever. What Yeshua saying, now you have to do what they say because they are their leaders. I've put them there. But don't do what they do. Right? Don't do what they do. Because they wouldn't lend a hand. That's in your books of the Bible, the New Testament. He says that. They like to walk around in long, daggly robes because they want to be seen. They want to sit up in the balcony and be seen. That's why Yeshua said you don't put a poor man on the floor and put another man up on a pedestal. These people are the same. We can let the Jews off, the scapegoat. But that does not mean that there's not a faction. And I'm going to explain it this way. The Lord's gave me so much information to share. When I talk about Catholicism, when I talk about Methodists, when I talk about Episcopalians, Lutherans, or any of those, ever how many denominations that these men have created, I am not talking about the worshiping individual. I'm not talking about them at all. If you're worshiping the Lord, that means you have that in your heart and you've read this book. But what it is you're following a higher administration's creed. What has man said? Well, it's like the Methodists are just a click out of Catholicism. Because they're like, we're not doing that. You've got creeds that are not in the book. That stuff's not in there. We're going to do this method, Methodist. We're doing this method. It's a better way. We're not doing that way. All your rules and your creeds. Okay, all my Methodists, what you're going to do? You have to do, we've got 27 rules for Methodists, in which it was a little, now it's like 500 pages. There's almost the manual for the Methodist and Baptist is as big as the book. I'm like, we don't lie. You have a book. You've got a book. What are you doing? Men. So Judaism. Let the average Jew off the yoke as the scapegoat. Take that yoke off of him. Because that was a lie. Palm Sunday was a lie. They all didn't leave him. That's why this story gets advanced. I mean, seriously, folks. I'm serious. I got so many videos of doing just this right here. I'm telling you what happened. Was I there? I might as well have been. Because the information I got from someone who was there. And let me tell you something. Yahweh, our Lord, our Creator, He is science. He is biology. He is archaeology. He's all of those things. And let me tell you people something. If you don't get the R's and the D's out of your life, we're going to lose this country. The D's. The political D's. I'm not talking the voting D's. The voting D's want to be taken care of. They want socialized, public assistance. The R's think the church should be doing this. Why are you taking my money? I'm paying a man or a woman, a politician. I'm paying a politician. I'm giving them billions of dollars since 1964. Billions. Trillions of dollars. Since 1964. We've been investing in the poor. We've been investing in people. They've been stealing it. They've been taking it. You're voting for the same people who are keeping you in your place. It's the same people who killed Yeshua. It's the same people who just killed so many people wanting to translate that Bible. It's not the only one, but those are I'm just saying, you're voting for the same group. Let the Jews off the scapegoat. While you're doing that, can you take the white male and take that yoke off of him? Because that Democratic Party, not the voter, but if you're following these people, you're making it worse on yourselves. Because we're going to Waco some people soon, and I know the way the media rolls. If you'll remember during Waco, heck, I was one of them. I was like, go in there and freaking get them out. The country was over it. You know why? Because we were watching CNN, ABC, CBS, Fox, all these channels. I don't know if Fox was on back then, but anyway. You know what I'm saying? You had all these news outlets telling us what was going on in there. Now listen, I'm not taking up for Koresh or what all that went in there. But I can tell you this, at no time on this planet should a group of people feel that either A, they need to light themselves on fire, which is what we were told they did. They started the fire, which, whatever. You still believe in the FBI and the CIA? You still believe in them? Let's go back to 1912. I'll explain to you where one world order took over. We're living in one world order, my friends. We're in it. Don't pay your land taxes. How long are you going to live there? Not very long. We're already one world order. We're already one world order. This whole story, I could stand here and talk to you for hours and connect stuff. People, we don't have to fight, especially each other. The same group who wants socialism and all these social services and all that stuff, all that. Start you a foundation. Start you a foundation. Get on Facebook. It's free. Get on Facebook. Start you a foundation. What is it, a 501(c), I think? Get you a 501(c). Start taking in donations and start helping people. You do not need politicians to help other human beings. They're going to rip us off. You'll never know where all that money went. Have you seen how they lived? I know where it goes. I've been in government politics since I was a sophomore in high school taking American government. Thank you, Mr. Shoemaker. He told me I could be really, I forgot what he said, I could be really smart or go far or whatever if I applied myself. How am I doing, Shu? Let me clear my throat. That's all I do is clear my throat. You'll have to forgive me. But all of that is what I've got to say. It was a setup. Because you don't act that way if you know that your Capitol building is getting ready to be attacked. You don't let it happen. And listen, folks, don't shoot daggers at me like I'm trying to be like one side or whatever. Listen, we had riots for an entire summer and tore up personal property. Personal business property. People spent their lives, their investments, and people ripped them apart. This same group was going to politicians' houses, going to their houses, their homes. You think that was all right? You go to someone's home where their wife and kids are and scare them? I mean, you remember the St. Louis couple that pulled their guns out because there was a mob coming through? What were they supposed to do? What were you supposed to do? Let them come in and destroy the house, everything you've worked for, your investment? This is your investment. Listen, these people are corrupt. And I can go on. But it was not all the Jews. It was organized, set up. Yeshua knew it. Yeshua knew it. He knew these people would do it. And the setup was on. He knew when to spark them, agitate them, what to say to them. When he read the book back to them. When he's teaching us about the Sabbath day, the seventh day to rest on, which we still should be doing. Peter's talking about the Passover Sabbath. That's when you hear Peter saying the Sabbath was nailed to the tree out there. He's not talking about the seventh day Sabbath. He's talking about the Passover Sabbath. That's Yeshua, tied to that tree. That's Yeshua, nailed to that tree. Everything I'm telling you, I can back up with facts, dates, writings, videos that I've been shooting. None of them's edited. They're raw. They're up there. I've got about 400 videos. I got about 200 where the audio doesn't work, the cameras quit working. I mean, it's what it does. I have so many videos. I shot videos. I just started putting up technical difficulties up over in the corner, just so they know. People would be thinking, "What is it? Me or is it the computer? Whatever." So I've been trying to get this out. And I knew it. And the reason I knew it was true, because the 3 prior times, the Spirit of the Lord come to me. 1, to save me, correct me. I've been a follower my whole life. I've had this going on my entire life, but didn't know what it was, if you know what I mean. I like to say this. I'm doing a job, and have been doing a job for 25 years. The A I didn't go to school for, engineering. I didn't go to school for engineering. And I've been in the business 25 years. Moved right on up. I didn't know exactly what was in the Bible, but I knew what was in me. And here we are. People, it's time. There's a better way to govern. There's a better way to do health care, dental. There's a better way. It starts with us, though. We got to change the way we treat each other. We call them taxes. I call them investments. Because we don't have kings and queens. We've got one king. And if we follow him, he'll guide us. Been guiding me. It's been guiding me, not just now, my entire life. Come in. Now it makes sense. When you start reading the Bible and I'm like, wow, the Holy Spirit comes in like that, like that, like that, in and out, like wind. It says that. It makes sense now. I get it. When I went to meet a man, when I went to one of the box stores in 2016, sometime in the summer, I don't want to get into all that. But anyway, this is what this is. So, with that, I'm going to end that. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. I'll read them. I know what I'm getting ready to get into, which has kind of been my what's the word? Not representation. What's the word? When I was like, I was just trying to save people that I knew. Because if you do this and you get out there, you're taking on the world. I mean, religion and politics, you're taking on the world. CIA, stand at the window, drop you. Put something in your food, drop you. That's what they do, JFK. That's how you get the president you want. You kill him. Abraham Lincoln. And then a Democrat took over. Killed by a Democrat. You see? There was an illegal election in 1864. Democrats in New York, stuffing boxes. Using the military, the guys who were fighting during the Civil War and all that, they were using their voter submissions. Democrats. Am I saying the Republicans don't cheat? I'm not saying they don't. But that's why they are getting clobbered. because they're trying to play it straight. Now, there's rhinos, Republicans in name only, and it's getting worse. And this is where I come in. You're not going to be able to trust these people. There's not a Ron DeSantis in every governor's mansion, which I think he's done an excellent job keeping us free. And you watch the media, man, they are on him. They're coming after him. Well, bring it on. Because I would rather take a bullet as to get put on trains and sent to concentration camps. I can't believe that anyone's denying that that didn't occur. There's pictures. There's evidence. There's people who got out of those concentration camps. They have the tattoos still on them. You watch grown men bawl their eyes out when they describe when they saw the Allies coming and to get them out of there. They knew they were going to make it. I want to go back to this, the one world order. The Rothschilds owned the national central banking system, or they did. The head Rothschild, like 1400, he had 5 boys. They went everywhere starting up banks, banking systems, because Jews are good at money. They're tight. They're tight. I like to... anyone that, my parents especially, they know I can squeeze $1 and get 5 quarters out of it. I mean, I just don't like wasting it. I work hard for it. I'm not going to get rid of it. So we don't invest, we don't pay tax in this country. We invest. If we took care of one another on our own, your paycheck would go up. That FICA thing would go down. That amount that you took home would go up. We stopped running red lights. I tell people that all right. If you'll stop running red lights, quit being like your own God. I could do this forever. I've had this same subject, but the problem is it's really not that good. Because it's just what it is. Me standing here. So I'm going to end this, and I think I'm going to try again. But just tell that story about Peter Schrock, Frank Audi, one more time. Thank you. Hello, America and everyone around the world. Welcome to ECClesiaUSA. This is where we come together, share the Word, share the Bible, and share our love and finances and everything with one another. Because we don't need politicians to do that. We can do it ourselves. I don't believe in socialized political government. I believe I want to do it myself. I see a need in someone, I give, I act. But what we're going to talk about tonight is Kanye West. I think he's going by Ye now. I think he's changed his name to Ye, so we'll go with that. He's talking about the Jews taking over the world and they're part of the Illuminati. Now, I don't know about Illuminati because I thought that was the Satan side. But he's talking about the Jews owning the movie industry, the music industry, and all that. Well, they did. I don't know if they still do, but they did. The first 3 or 4, what was that, Mayor Gwen and those other movie places back in the day, Golden Mire and all that, whatever they were Jewish owned. Don't think they weren't. Banks, Jewish owned. But it goes back. But we need to go back to Palm Sunday to get this story correct. Palm Sunday, before Yeshua was falsely accused and murdered and nailed to a tree. We have to go back there today to understand what I'm going to be telling you about. Take that yoke of the scapegoat off the Jewish people. Because the Jewish nation didn't kill Yeshua. It was orchestrated. I can prove it. And I can tell you the story. How I can prove it. So on Palm Sunday, as we call it now, on that Sunday when Yeshua came in, and everyone was yelling, Hoshanawa, Hoshanawa, liberate us, be our king. That's what they're yelling with the palm branches, and they thought he's here. Because why? For the past 2-3 years, he's been healing people. He's been feeding people. Let me rephrase. He's been healing hundreds of people, maybe thousands. He fed thousands, we know, 4,000, 5,000. We know that he had to get on a boat and be pushed out of the way because there were so many people surrounding him. Thousands of people were following him. Thousands of people were lined up waiting for the Passover in Jerusalem. All the Hebrew Israelite Jews came to the Passover. That's what they did. It was packed. He had followers. They loved him everywhere except the South, the Southern Jews. The Southern Jews, and not really that, all of them either. It was just the group right there who was in charge of Jerusalem. Caiphas, the head priest, and his associates, and the temple guards, and the temple associates, and a few Roman centurions. Maybe not centurions, but maybe, but definitely Roman guards. Because just like police officers here today, when they retire, they don't retire from duty. They still do stuff for the Roman officials when they're asked to. It's part of their retirement to keep getting paid. So when Yeshua came in, and instead of going right to the courthouse places, you need to look at a map and see how Jerusalem is laid out. Instead of going right to where the courts are, where he could take over and come and be king and do all of that, he went left. He went to the synagogue. He went to the temple. Yeshua could care less at this point about what the world is doing. Everything he talked about during the Old Testament was correcting the behavior of the Jews and what they were doing to the people. Now you have to know what a money changer is. They set up a law or a rule that you couldn't put Roman money into the plate for donation that you're donating. They had to do a money change. So if you brought in Roman money for a percentage, they'd give you some temple money. And that's what you put in there. These people were making money hand over fist. They were making money off of what they were putting in. They were taking that percentage out like our politicians do now. We send them money and they live like what? Kings and queens. Have you seen Nancy Pelosi's house? She's worth $50 billion. 50 million, 50 billion, whatever. These people back then did the same thing. Now here's the part. Your average Hebrew, Israelite, Jew read that Old Testament, which wasn't the Old Testament then. They read the covenants, those different books, every seventh day. for different reasons. They would come into the temple. Someone would read it. Now in the Old Testament, it says in there, do not charge your brother a percentage. Give it to him. Don't put him under a burden. What these people do. So it wasn't just the money changing that they were making money off of. If you were poor and you had two 10 pennies or whatever, I don't know what they call it. I do know what they call it. So when you were poor, even if you had like 2 little copper coins, you would go up and buy you a pigeon. Right? That's what, and it'll tell you that. Joseph and Mary went to buy pigeons. Now when you do a sacrifice, you're supposed to sacrifice what? Your best. Your first male, your best. Whatever, well, you didn't sin. Everything had to be alive, big, and healthy. Just like us. We got to be healthy because when you stand in front of the Lord, you're going to have no clothes on. You're going to be standing there and be like, this is me. And you'll be like, okay, did you take care of yourself? You couldn't have dead animals. You couldn't sacrifice dead animals. Well, these people were getting handed dead pigeons, and lamed animals and stuff. That's what they were sacrificing. These people were evil. In the New Testament, when you're reading the Gospels and you're reading the letters, that's who they're talking about. These people were evil. So the story goes that Yeshua went in there and started whipping them. The thing is, he had done it earlier in his ministry and was able to accrue all of these followers. You know why? Because if my government is abusing me and taking my money and stoning me and killing people, that they can go, you're a blasphemer, dead, they'd kill you. You had no recourse. Why do you think the Constitution come from there? Yeshua has brought it all the way up to us. We have a constitutional republic. They're lying to us again about this democracy. But back there, they didn't fall away. They didn't fall away. They couldn't fight these people. And when they killed Yeshua, when they murdered him on that tree, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? Fight the Romans? Fight the temple guards? Fight the zealots' families who was there? They knew that those temple guards and those priests, Caiphas and his associates, what they were doing was wrong. And that's why Yeshua had to die. Because these people were following him. Because he was arrested 2 days later after that. He didn't die on Friday. He wasn't arrested on Friday. He didn't die on Friday. Let's fast forward to January the 6th. So let's fast forward. If you have someone who's taking money away from you, not stealing it, by telling people who these people are. Because I'll tell you how Paul died. Paul he was not murdered. He was not murdered for his preaching, so to say. He didn't get murdered because he was calling out the priests, and he was, and that'll give you a sign of whether the Spirit's in you or not. Because you'll preach it, you'll talk about it, and you'll go with it. So, Paul was killed because of Diana was no longer selling her idols. That's why he was murdered. She wasn't making money off these little... When a meteorite came down, and it had little nipples, it looked like women's nipples all over it. Well, they were selling these idols that looked like that for fertility idols. She was making money hand over fist with them, and Paul's like, you do not want to lower yourself to worshiping idols when you have Yahweh, you have Yeshua. Why are you? That is what happened. They quit buying her little idols. He had to go. Same thing today. I want to tell you this. In the 70s, the Chinese came over here, and drugs were prevalent. Money was flying, cocaine was flying, disco was flying, and we were selling to the Chinese. Buildings, Rockefeller Center, movie stations, movie companies, radio stations, media outlets. That way they can tell you what to do and what to think. And you think it's your idea. CNN, ABC, CBS, Disney, all these people are owned at the end of the day by the CCP. And the next time you're wondering, why is the media acting like this? Now you'll know. Because you got a bunch of socialist, communists in your party. And we can talk about that in the 30s and 40s. And 1912 rolls into that where we lost it all. So what I'm saying is, so after that day, he did the cleaning of the temple. Because the area that they were doing the marketing is where the Gentiles were supposed to go in that area. It wasn't like in the temple, it was in the area where the Gentiles were supposed to go in and pray. So when they finally convicted him illegally, because even that, they didn't have enough witnesses, and then the ones they said, none of them said the same story. Here's where he gets in there, all right? The three thieves on the cross with Jesus. That's all we've been told. The three thieves, they're thieves. They weren't thieves. They weren't thieves. They were murderers. Today you would call them terrorists. The bombing people and all that. That's what these people did. They came out of the hills and was murdering Jewish rabbis, Jewish officials, and not just the Jews, the Roman officials as well. Murder them. Now here's where the story turns. So, in June of 2018, now here's something you have to understand. By now, I have definitely communicated. Yahweh, the Holy Spirit, and the only reason I'm saying Yahweh the third time, he let me do this. Take a picture of it. And I've got it. This part of his face. There's an eyeball. Part of the nose. That's left. Now this is clouds. I got it. There's a formation when I was talking to him. There's a story I'll tell you with that. 2016, communication. 2017, communication. 2018, communication. In March. In June, in July of that year, There was an FBI agent called Peter Strzok. And he was in Congress, or on the Senate. I don't remember which one it was. He was on the Senate or Congress, but Trey Gowdy was asking him questions over his text messages with the female that he was trying to, or they were having sexual relations and whatever, but they were doing everything they could to get Hillary Clinton to win. Now in the text messages it says, I hope she wins 100 million to 0. I hope she wins 100 million to 0. And Trey Gowdy goes, Agent Strzok, 100 million to 0? 100 million to 0? How's that going to be? Not one person? I mean, weren't you investigating her then for her crimes in Benghazi and all this other stuff? And the emails and her bashing all of her Palm Pilots or whatever cell phones she had? You hadn't been finished with that investigation yet, but yet you wanted her to win 100 million to 0. Not one vote, Agent Strzok. When Pontius Pilate was woke up that morning, because when they finally arrested Yeshua, it was in the dark of the night. It was after 6 p.m. Yeshua told Peter, you'll deny me 3 times before the rooster crows. You'll deny me 3 times before the rooster crows. Why a rooster? Because you know that's early in the morning. Roosters crow. They crow all the time, but in the morning is what we all think of or know. They do mostly. We knew it was early. Pre-dawn. He's in the Sanhedrin. Peter denies him. He goes through the trial. It was rigged. Kind of like January 6th that we're doing now. And we're getting there. And it's rigged. The Sanhedrin was rigged. And by the time he got convicted and nailed to that tree, they got away with it. Caiphas and his associates, temple guards, the other priests, he had to die. They were taking away their power. Yeshua was taking away their power. He was taking away their money. He was taking away their followers. The main thing he was doing, and again, you got to know the old history. Now, if they're not in charge of the temple courts and all that, and Yeshua becomes king, that's what they thought. If he becomes king, then they're out. There's no use for them. He had to go. Because they'd been making a really good living ripping off the Jews. And they knew it because they read their Old Testament as well. So Yeshua didn't lose his followers. What were they going to do? Fight the Romans? Fight the temple guards? They knew Caiphas. He'd murder you. He'd kill you. He just did it to their Savior. Today, that's why I say, please, let the Jews take that yoke of murdering Yeshua off. Because it wasn't all of them. It wasn't the northern Jews. It wasn't even all the southern Jews. It was that group who had to have this happen. Because if he showed up on that Passover and started doing miracles and preaching, he knew the words better than they did. He had to go. He had to go. And they did. And they killed him. The fortunate part for them Well, they just arrested 3 zealots the day before. Murderers, not thieves, unless you call stealing someone's life a thief. And that's what they did. They stole their souls, their lives. Pontius Pilate came out that morning. He tried 3 times to get Jesus off. 3 times. Is there anyone, no one has anything against this man? I see nothing. Anyone. He's looking around. I'm telling you, right now, he tried 3 times. If they hadn't had it cordoned off, because by now it's daylight. But now it's daylight. So people are starting to come in, and they're keeping people away. And they knew how to keep people away. They had different dialects. Remember when Peter was in the courtyard, she said, "You sound like one of them." They had a northern southern dialect. It was different, kind of like here in America, north and south. If I'm a southerner, if I go up to the north, they know my accent. If I'm a northern, you come down here, we know your accent. West, so same thing. It was a setup. It wasn't a large, thousands of people yelling. It was a small group that had to have this happen. Because the Messiah was there. He was doing exactly what Isaiah said he would do. He was the exact one that they were claiming. Now, the reason I'm telling you that, because I was listening and watching that interaction between Strzok and Gowdy. And when he said, not one vote, Agent Strzok, right about that time, I can't explain it, how it is, download, whatever you want to call it, message, that's how it happened. That's how he was set up. And I'm like, he, Yeshua. And then the story went from there. So, in 2018, I'm watching that. I'm told that that's how it was when Yeshua died. Not one vote. There wasn't one group in there. Not during that part. Now, when he came out, and he's now got the cross on him, there's nothing you can do. He's been convicted. It's kind of like the guys in January 6th. There's nothing they can do. They're sitting and rotting in jail. Illegally, by the way. Illegally. It was a setup. And the reason I know it was a setup, because it happened. January 6th, and I said it before, 2 weeks prior, I was begging a guy, don't go. It's set up. This is a side note. I kind of like that first one maybe better. We'll watch it. So with all the Jew talk right now, the Judaism, with all the talk about Jews and taking over the music industry and the movies and taking over the world and all that, they were the leading family of the central banking system. So you're not going to hear me sit here and be like, oh no, all the Jews are great. They're not ripping people off. They're not stealing. They're not doing that. If Caiphas and his associates can do what he did, then the same Jews today can do what they're doing. But not the practicing Jew is what I'm trying to explain to you. Take that off of them. Take that off of them. Let them go. Take that yoke off. They didn't do it. It was a setup. And that's where we are today with this January 6th. I told 2 witnesses. I told a guy 2 weeks prior while he was there that don't go in the buildings. Don't fight with anybody. Don't mess with the cops. Watch out for people who are dressed like you. So for anybody to be like, it wasn't a setup. How did I tell people 2 weeks prior that it was going to happen? How did I tell people starting in 2018 it's going to happen? One of those Trump rallies is going to be the battle cry to put that genocide yoke that the Europeans and everyone else since then put on the Jews. We've got it now. We've got that yoke on us. Genocide yoke. And we don't care what happens to you. That's what these Democrat politicians are doing. Putting the genocide yoke on us. Because we voted for a man who is trying to correct what they were doing. Is Donald Trump a perfect man, or is he any of those things? I'm not judging that man. I've told you 100,000 times. When we read our Bible, our judgment is between us and our Lord. That's what that book's about, self-judgment. When you're doing that, you turn yourself to a judge or God. Go look in a mirror. That entire story falls apart. If you'll hang out with me, I can connect it all for you back to Genesis, to how this earth's going to die. And it is dying slowly. It's getting warmer. It's getting warmer. And everyone's, oh, save the earth. We got to do that. You're not saving this earth. Yahweh broke it. He broke it open. He cracked it with Noah's flood. Go read your books. Go read your Bibles. Go study some archaeology. Go study plants, rocks. He broke it open. What do you mean broke it open? What? He just flooded the place. No. No. People lived. And they did this. I've had talked to so many people go, oh, they didn't live 700, 800, 900 years. They just, different calendar. Have you read the Old Testament and how they kept the books and the days? They tracked all that for us. They didn't change the calendar after Noah's flood. The Jews didn't, I guarantee you that. Noah had the same calendar and tracked it. But as you can tell, after Noah's flood, and that group right there, they started dwindling down. 150 years, all they lived, 200 years. Then that generation couldn't live any longer than 120. And then we're actually getting worse. We're actually getting worse. Because this is a dying earth. Before the flood and the ice age that the flood caused, this was a different earth. It was pressurized oxygen. You were like in a chamber. Perfect air. Perfect pressure. You could grow taller, bigger, stronger, live longer. He broke it. He said he would try to get rid of the evidence, and he did for the most part, but we're digging up bodies. Has anybody ever thought that the bodies that we're digging up, especially the shorter, stockier, muscular ones, you think those could be, Hebrew Israelites that died in Noah's flood? I mean, if you live 700, 800, 900 years, your bones are thicker. Your ears and your nose and your mouth and all that, it keeps growing. And I don't know about, again, we're talking about now. Then, a different world. But this is how I go. I get off. I don't really get off. All this goes together. I got topics, what I'm talking about. I usually get off topic. But all the topics go together. It just takes all of it for you to understand how we are now in one world order. 1912. Democrats. Woodrow Wilson. Do you know who started the League of Nations, which turned into the United Nations? It started in 1918, and thereabouts. Woodrow Wilson, Democrat, politician, who was paid to sell our country to the central banking system, and he did. We lost our banking system and our money. The Federal Reserve. We lost our banking system. We lost the ability to make our own coinage, our own money. Federal Reserve, they took that. Prior to that, they taxed. They put a heavy burden tax on every American called the federal income tax. Did you know before 1912 how the federal government ran? Mostly tariffs. Products going in and out of the country. What president just recently put tariffs on China and other countries, and our GPD, gross national product, went through the roof? That couldn't happen with these politicians. So they took an opportunity. January the 6th. We got to make him a criminal. AD 29. We got to make him a criminal. 1984. We got to make him a criminal. In 2024, they're going to make us criminals. We're going to lose our land. We're going to lose our freedom. And then we're going to lose these United States of America. Because they're no longer united. They're completely divided. And to be honest, it's not the entire states. It's a pocket. Like New York, it's the city. But around it, they don't want none of that. California. One part, the Northern California, they don't want none of that. The Northern Californians are paying for all the Southerns and all their craziness, all their communist ideas. That, my friends, is what January the 6th is about. It's about putting you and I with the yoke of genocide. Because when they turn those guns to warrants, because you're going to hold on to them, you're going to become a criminal, and you're going to get crucified. You can fight them. That's what they want. Because when they mow you down, they're going to go on the news, they're going to go on the media and go, look what we did. We took care of those patriot, MAGA, whatnot. So like in the Old Testament, the bad kings averaged 3 years. Good kings, 15. Do good, people. Come see me. Come check me out. I'm for real. And I'm not an idiot by any means or stretch of imagination. I don't know everything. But I've got something on my side. And you can too. Read your books. Pray. Fast. Have faith. Thank you all. And good night.